Gyro Signs is your best source for wide format printing, industrial signage, and safety sign needs. Gyro Signs has been in business for over 16 years. Before your order is placed, we will send over digital artwork that you can view before approving your order. We have what's called a no surprise clause. This means you'll know exactly what your bill will be before we print anything, so there are no surprises. Check out our website and email us for further action, gyrosigns.com.
I hear there's a lot of, and you might have heard this as well, have you heard that there's a lot of felony guys and gals resigning and leaving?
Well, there's been a good turnover rate, probably in the last 4 months. There's been a good turnover rate there.
That's a management issue.
That is a management issue.
And I know a lot of times ADAs will leave to go start their own business, go and partner with people like Dan Cox and all that. But if you spent 30 years, 20 years as an ADA, and you're not starting your own business, and that would be a management issue, something that you've done, something that a manager has done, mm-hmm. and now he wants to wave a flag, or she wants to wave a flag and say, we got problems here, I'm shorthanded. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I need more money to get more lawyers in
Right,
here.
right.
And so, I mean, we just keep throwing money and money and money and money.
Their solution has always been throw more money, throw more money. Yeah. Instead of a reevaluation of your manpower, a reevaluation of how you have it all set up, there needs to be a reevaluation instead of just more money, more money, more money. There's also been a termination of 2 employees, I think, within the last 3 weeks.
I didn't know
not
that.
Resigning. Yeah, I mean,
were they investigators or lawyers?
One was an investigator and one was a discovery clerk, and mm-hmm. this is going on right now. And then, I've got an email from my opponent who wrote in January, I'm taking, the next whatever number of weeks off, and I'll be back in the office on March 4th,
Wow.
So she comes in and out, but even though they're short-staffed and they have this issue, I mean, what does a leader do? Actions speak louder than words, you know?
Yeah.
If you're short-staffed, you got backlog, get in there.
The power that the DA reigns, any DA in the state of Texas, mm-hmm. is incredible power. Even judges. Mm-hmm. I ran into this in this county. Even the judges were worried and said, I was afraid that would happen to me. Mm-hmm. We're talking district judges.
Did y'all hear that?
That right there is intimidation. That's tyranny at the very, it's one of those deals.
And this is the one office where my opponent has worked.
Yes.
And that was the
her
environment.
Entire career.
Her entire legal career in that environment. And so is that really the best experience you want brought to lead this office? You need to make that assessment.
Exactly.
I recently had an attorney who had just left the DA's office about 6 weeks ago talk about, oh my gosh, you all were right. Talking to defense attorneys, because once you leave, you see things in a different perspective. And this attorney told me to my face, you all were right. And so there's just that perspective when you're in this environment, and that's what you learn. You're in the bubble. Yeah. And that's what you learned. Where else did you get your information from? Your experience from?
And I used to tell people that, and Jake Ellis touched on this the other night. He's a retired military guy too. I had good leaders and I've had bad leaders mm-hmm. through my whole career, and I would take little pieces of each one of them. But if I'd only had one and he was a bad one,
exactly.
I mean, you couldn't fault me for the way I act. I would act just like the guy that I came up with in my mind. So I don't necessarily fault it, but I don't agree with it, because you're an adult. You know right from wrong. I know from firsthand experience that they will have evidence that is exculpable, that will exonerate somebody, and they will still prosecute.
Well,
that happened.
Well, you see, that's what happened in your whole transcript. If you haven't seen his videos regarding the testimony in his trial, that's very eye-opening for me, because I wasn't in that trial. I would see them in court as I went about my business, but I wasn't in that court or during that trial. But once I saw them and read it, it was eye-opening to me. You know, in a civil case, the burden of proof, the amount of evidence that the state needs to prove, your civil attorneys, was preponderance of the evidence. And my opponent couldn't even get that way, 51%. And these felony cases require evidence and supervision and prosecution of evidence beyond a reasonable doubt. And yet the case that was tried last year, or 2 years ago, couldn't even do preponderance of the evidence, 51%. And so that's very telling to me. The caliber of the individual you want to lead this office is you want someone to be able to supervise and guide and go in there when necessary and prosecute the individuals that strangle your family members or kill your
Right.
loved ones. I have had first chair murder cases. I have done it. My opponent has not. I mean, it's just such a common sense. I'm pleading with you all to learn and become informed. Ask her how many first chair felony cases
How many
she's tried.
second chair?
Second chair, I think I've seen her in a couple, but I have been here longer than my opponent, so this is my sandbox. I say, I tell my clients, the defense, this is my sandbox. So I know if I had seen her there, you can ask any other attorney out there, to do that.
Julissa's not slinging any kind of dirt. We're just talking about
facts right now.
experience. And that's what you all need. Y'all need experience in this office. I need experience in the DA's office. Regardless of what I professionally and personally think about her opponent, Julissa has the experience. If Julissa didn't have the experience, I wouldn't be pushing the other person, but I wouldn't be pushing Julissa either. So,
Exactly.
And I think
that's
people
fair.
know my integrity.
Right, and that's fair. I mean, I couldn't even be here, and you wouldn't have any of this.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I think they know that. I don't know why I said that, but they know I fought 3 years for my integrity. I wasn't going to quit. There's some people like me.
Mm-hmm.
There's not enough, obviously, and it's not easy. I don't know if I was, strong or stupid, or I don't know what it was, but
I think we talked briefly before we got on camera about God looks for someone to fight these battles and these challenges, because had you not unfortunately gone through all this, we would not have been in a position to
Right.
learn or for the public to know more about what was going on in their fourth floor.
yeah, in their fourth floor,
In their fourth floor.
absolutely, with their money.
Exactly. The money, you could have been using for your kid's soccer practice or go to the YMCA or even give it to United Way. Everyone wants to complain, and I get it, our taxes and our taxes and our taxes, but just look at the expense that this office, this administration, and the civil department of this administration did with your money and going after you.
You might not know this, Julissa. This is going to be funny for you, and it's going to be piss these people off. They spent $6,000, the DA's office did, to verify that I sent 6 emails out.
Oh my gosh.
We've already admitted to them, already showed it to them. They sent that down to Austin and paid $6,000 to verify that.
To verify that. Yeah, see, of your money. Your money. And what I haven't been able to figure out is I think there was a complaint filed against you first by the current DA against you, and then the DA withdrew his complaint, and then it was filed by a former investigator. I'm trying to figure out whether the former investigator was paid during that trial. I haven't.
All that, the taxpayer money even paid for the filing.
That was I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, the taxpayer money
funded this whole thing that has to be brought by a citizen, which turned out to be, like you said, it was Patrick Wilson first. Then he backed out. They left me alone. Then they came back and refiled for another issue
with the investigator that was employed that you paid for. Got it.
Yeah, y'all paid for that.
Okay, see?
Yeah.
I'm floored. The more I find out about this issue, the more floored I am.
Yeah. We have him on saying, how much did you have to pay for just to file it? Well, I didn't pay anything. Well, wait a minute. That's a personal lawsuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't pay for anything.
And use county attorneys to do it,
Yes.
to try to remove an
Yes.
elected official.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no, they paid for these counties attorneys to remove me for a personal civil action. And see, and so what had happened is the DA, the current DA, clouded his judgment. He got, he didn't have a plan B.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to people pleading.
Mm-hmm.
And when I didn't plead, they came after me harder. And I didn't plead, they came after me harder. Finally, my lawyers told him, look, we're in this forever.
So keep arresting him.
Yeah, keep arresting him. So then it's like, well, how the hell do I get out of this?